You ever get that call, the one where everything just tilts sideways and you realize the ground under your feet isn't quite as solid as you thought? That was me late Tuesday night when my mom called with that voice, you know. The one like she's squeezing every word through clenched teeth so she doesn't break down. Uncle Robert was gone, just like that. Quiet in his sleep heart gave out at 78. I sat there in the glow of the fridge light halfway through pouring a glass of milk and the world just stalled. Then right after the condolences, she drops the next bomb. Uncle Robert left me his lake cabin in Pine Ridge Estates. My brain did a double take. Wait. What? I hadn't seen that place in 20 years. Last time I was a gangly teenager, all elbows and attitude, spending a summer splitting firewood and swatting mosquitoes fishing off that rickety dock. I never lost a toe, but came close. After that, life grabbed me by the collar, college law school, the slow grind into the city trading starry nights for high-rises, and eventually the thankless role of senior compliance officer at the State Real Estate Commission. Nothing glamorous, just a lot of paperwork, long meetings, and the kind of bureaucratic drama that makes you question your sanity. A week after the funeral, a thick envelope lands on my desk. The estate lawyer neatly typed letter, the keys, and a deed. Everything was legit, taxes paid, title clear, all county records up to date. It almost felt too easy. I was knee-deep in stress at work, couldn't focus, so I told myself just one night away. Go up, get some air, maybe let the grief sink in somewhere quieter. That was the plan anyway. The drive up was all muscle memory, those winding roads that smell of pine needles when you crack the window. When I finally pulled in, the cabin was exactly as I remembered. Knotty pine walls, stone fireplace still chipped at the edge, whole place soaked in the old sweet tang of wood smoke. I didn't even turn on a light, just dropped my bag, kicked off my shoes, and listened to the logs settling, lit a fire, poured myself a glass of something strong, and slept harder than I had in years. You ever have a morning where reality kicks in so hard you wonder if you're still dreaming? 7 a.m., somebody nearly pounds the door off its hinges. I stumble out hair wild, dragging on yesterday's jeans, only to find a woman on my porch, clipboard gripped like it's the only thing keeping her afloat. She had that look, the kind that says, I'm not just in charge, I was born to be in charge. Who are you? She snaps. No, good morning, just straight to the interrogation. Why are you inside this property? I blinked, brain barely in gear. Daniel Morrison, I own this cabin. Her lips went so thin I thought they'd disappear. Linda Garrison, president of the Pine Ridge Estates HOA. This property's been vacant. Any occupancy requires HOA approval, transfer fees, background check. You can't just be here. I'm not proud of it, but I laughed half out of nerves, half because I just couldn't believe it. Look, I inherited it. Paperwork's done, county's got the deed. I'm staying a night. She gave a laugh that sounded like a nail scraping glass. That's not how it works here. Then when I tried to close the door, she just wedged her foot in the frame. If you're still here tonight, I'll call the police for trespassing. Then she spun on her heel and stalked off, clipboard like a shield, not giving me a chance to say a word. The rest of the day strangely peaceful. Kayaked across the lake, sorted through Uncle Robert's weird collection of fishing lures, ran into a couple neighbors, real folks, genuine smiles, not a clipboard in sight. When I mentioned Linda, every one of them rolled their eyes so hard I thought somebody'd get whiplash. That night, I'm standing on the porch, coffee steaming in my hands, watching the sun drop behind the ridge. Suddenly, headlights. Then red and blue lights. 2 patrol cars crawl up the driveway, and behind them, there's Linda, arms crossed so tight she looked like she might snap in half, grinning like she'd just won the lottery. The officers step out, all calm authority, and Linda's right there barking, "That's him! The trespasser broke in during the night." One of the cops, tall, polite, clearly wishing he was somewhere else, turns to me. "Sir, we got a report of a burglary in progress. Can I see some ID?" Now, most days I keep my work life and my real life miles apart. But this time I figured, what the hell, I handed him my license and then just for kicks the badge from the Real Estate Commission. He looked at that badge, then at me, and his whole face changed. He turns to Linda. "Ma'am, do you realize who this is?" Linda, still in full dragon mode, scoffs. "I don't care who he says he is. He's on HOA property without authorization." The officer just shakes his head. "This is Daniel Morrison, Senior Compliance Officer for the State Real Estate Commission." I swear I watched every drop of color drain from Linda's face. "If you could bottle that look and sell it, you'd be a millionaire." "There must be some mistake," she stammers. "HOA rules require." "HOA rules," the second officer cuts in, "don't override property law." And you called 911 claiming a burglary. I kept my voice steady. Officers happy to show you the deed and probate docs. Everything's legal, all recorded. The lead cop waves it off. That won't be necessary. We're already familiar with Mr. Morrison's work. Linda's mouth flapped, then clamped shut again. She rallied one last time. But he didn't file a transfer application. He didn't pay the fee. That's a civil matter, the cop says, not a crime. Filing a false police report is. Silence. Even the crickets stopped. I took a long breath. I'd like to file a formal complaint. This is the second time today Miss Garrison has harassed me over lawful use of my property. And that's when Linda cracked, "You can't do this." I was protecting the community. The officer pulls out his notebook so calm he might as well have been ordering coffee. "Ma'am, you're receiving a citation for misuse of emergency services. Further action may follow." She swayed like her knees were about to give out, but somehow she kept standing, clipboard still clutched like a lifeline. After that, it was like dominoes falling. The state audit I authorized. Yeah, turns out when you poke around in a place like Pine Ridge, you find all kinds of skeletons. Missing financial disclosures, improperly issued fines, years of the HOA flexing on people who didn't know better or were too tired to fight. There was an emergency meeting, standing room only, folks packed in so tight it felt like the walls would burst. People were mad, old-timers, new folks, everyone sick of the nonsense. When it came time to vote, Linda didn't just lose, she was evacuated by security yelling about standards and community values while clutching that poor clipboard like a drowning woman with a log. 6 months later, Pine Ridge wasn't the same. New rules, more transparency, statewide reforms. Neighbors started calling them the Morrison Protocols, half as a joke, half out of relief. I'd sit on that porch, coffee in hand, sun, coming up over the lake, and think maybe justice does roll in slow as it might be. But here's the real kicker. Every compliance notice that goes out from my office, my name's right there at the top. And somewhere I just know Linda's hands shake every time she sees it. There's a quiet kind of satisfaction in knowing the person who tried to run you out of your own family's home now has to answer for every single line of fine print. Funny thing, growing up, I thought the law was cold. But sometimes it's just the only way to keep folks honest. Power can make people do wild things, twist rules, invent enemies, build little kingdoms on paper. And sometimes all it takes is one pushback, one person standing up, paperwork in hand, to topple the whole shaky tower. So let me leave you with this. When's the last time you saw someone abuse their little slice of authority, and did anybody step up, or did everyone just look away? Where's the line between order and overreach? Does justice always show up, or do we have to drag it to the door ourselves? Drop your thoughts below. Ever dealt with an HOA meltdown or someone flexing a little too hard? Share your stories, your wins, your own taste of karma. I read them all, and trust me, you never know whose porch justice might roll up to next.